Welcome to Loyal Eyes,
a podcast brought to you by D Squares about customer relationships and retention. I'm Yasmin.
and I'm Bob, and on this podcast we invite world-leading experts to dive into the world of building strong loyalty.
Welcome to this episode of the Loyal Eyes podcast. I'm joined by Batu Sat, the co-founder and CEO of Mall IQ. Mall IQ is a location intelligence and AI platform that connects banks, fintechs, and retailers to their customers. Welcome, Batu. Thank you so much for being on the podcast. Could you just give us a bit of an introduction, how you got into this, and what your interest in location-based engagement?
Sure. So we built Mall IQ almost 10 years ago with two co-founders. We are both technical. We both had our PhDs in the US and then worked in Fortune 100 companies in different technical positions. So my PhD and my expertise in more machine learning before AI name was more popular. So I've been doing that for 20 years. And Ferit, my co-founder's background and PhDs in indoor location tech and wireless technologies in general. So we built a system that allows banks, fintechs, and retailers to understand their customers' journey in the physical world. So it's a first-party data generation to understand their purchase intent and to drive frictionless loyalty experiences, either for the card products, lending products, or general retail products.
Cool. And you've touched on already things that I want to discuss with you, the privacy and data, things that usually we think are opposite each other, but how the two can be used in an ethical way and in a way to drive engagement and loyalty. So I'm excited to jump into that with you. But first, I wanted to ask you to tell me a customer experience that's recently wowed you.
So I've been going to this restaurant a few times before, but this time I received, after 15 minutes in the restaurant, I received a message from a fintech that I recently joined. It has a card as well. So saying that they have 10% cash back in this restaurant. So I've been to this restaurant before. I'm new to the fintech, so there is this connection that now I can get rewarded by going to a good restaurant that I like, and then it's built loyalty in my mind towards this fintech that it created value for me in places that I visit, not somewhere that I never go to. So I don't know how that happens, but it built a positive engagement for both the restaurant as well as the fintech, connecting the dots.
Lovely. And that's another thing, hyper relevancy. That's a thing also that location-based engagement drives as well, which I'm also excited to get into. So I like to ask this question because I think it really captures how multifaceted and multidisciplinary loyalty is. And that's describing loyalty in a sentence or 3 words.
I think there are 3 components at least, which should be frictionless, reliable, and then there should be some value exchange. So if I have to explain, so frictionless, you don't have to fill out a lot of forms that do a lot of things for it to, maybe initially you need to, but in the long run, it should be frictionless. It should be reliable. If I think that I'll get this kind of a cashback or some value, some fast express lane, and if I don't get it, then it's worse than not thinking I'm going to get anyway. So reliability is important, and the value exchange. So I think frictionless, reliable value is how I would describe loyalty.
I think that also goes back to some consumer psychology. If I'm not mistaken, having a frictionless interaction is very important for customers to be able to open up to the suggestion from brands or businesses, whatever the interaction is. The value exchange is a great one also. It implies that there's a back and forth, not just a one-sided thing. And you said reliable. Reliable, that goes back to trust, that goes back to expectations, meeting those expectations. So yeah, that's a great answer. What makes you loyal to a brand?
So yeah, I think those kind of things, like I'm open to being loyal, but those things about friction that I have to go to this website, get this code, and then enter it some here, and then say it to the cashier, like that, I'll try anything once. But if there's a friction, I shy away. Or the reliability. If that payment or that thing gets declined, or they say they're gonna have this double points, but it doesn't come, I give everybody a chance, but if it doesn't work, then they lose that chance. So having that uh, reliable, frictionless part is sort of what I look at. But I'm open to anything. Like in some cultures, this is very normal. You're open to those things because it's a way to discover the world. It's not just thinking of advertisements that trying to influence me, but opening up my vision in terms of what's possible. And since I'm in the business, I'm really excited to use and learn from everybody else as well.
Yeah, I really like what you said. I'm open to, I'll do anything once, but then what happens after that sort of determines whether you'll stick or not, which is the main thing about engagement and loyalty. What keeps a customer coming back? And that's really important to think about.
Exactly.
Okay, so one thing about location-based engagement that I think maybe traditional loyalty programs lack is the type of data that businesses can have access to. So with traditional loyalty programs, it's usually there's a blind spot to lifestyle or context-based data. You usually get data like transaction history or points activity, but not always things that reflect intent of the customer, which I think location-based engagement does really well. So like frequency of visits, obviously location where you are, the time of day, preferences for categories and stuff like that. So if you could just give me a glimpse of what sort of lifestyle signals are most likely to tell a story about a customer's loyalty.
Yeah. Definitely, you brought up a very important topic. If you're just looking at the transactions happening in your own store, then if you have a lot of transactions, that's great, but still you're missing all the journey before and after. Which other stores, which other competitors or complementary stores are they going? Or what other tasks are they doing? Are they going to the movies and then if you're a retailer coming to you, or are they doing something afterwards? So understanding the before and after is important, even for a retailer that has a lot of transaction data. But further more, for retailers or even banks that do not have a lot of transaction data, they're missing out everything else. So if you're a coffee shop, which other coffee shops your customers are going, or that they are not even coming to you, or they're drinking coffee 10 times a month, but maybe once with you and 9 times with others, versus you might be drinking 3 cups of coffee, but all of them are with you. So understanding the spend potential and the loyalty are two dimensions that you need to uncover rather than just looking at transactions done with your store, which puts a lot of blind spots in terms of both the opportunities, but also figuring out, okay, this customer might be 3 times a month, but they're loyal. So let's go give more value. If you have a new spicy chai latte, something new coming up, something seasonal, surprise and delight them, celebrate their loyalty, give them additional value. So those two dimensions are, I think, important. And in terms of lifestyle, we are not here to transact. We are here to get what we need, what we want, and understanding the overall context, the lifestyle allows you to better engage with your current products, but also design new customer experiences or products that fit into what's needed. So, knowing the overall lifestyle, somebody's going out for a run early on Sunday. That might be something that you can discover and then engage them, it will be a surprise and delight. Versus somebody's going to a concert hall and it's playing jazz that night, and once you understand they like jazz, a new jazz band coming to town might be a good surprise and delight opportunity to give them opportunity to purchase tickets in advance to get the best seats. So lifestyle, once the customer likes the value exchange, then they will be sticking to it. It's going to be a two-way loyalty.
I love what you said about it's also about the before and the after of the transaction, because usually we think it ends at the transaction, but actually that's not necessarily true. It depends what knowledge you want about the customer, but it provides a huge potential for extreme like personalization that's actually relevant, not just for the sake of having hyper targeted things being sent to your customers. No, like it's not just about the targeting, it's also about the relevancy. And I think that's what's really cool about this, is that you're meeting customers where they already are and finding opportunities to take them somewhere else as well, like opportunities where they're willing to try things. What's the word? Try things and take opportunities to get rewarded, to be delighted. You need people to want to be delighted as well. Versus if I just get an ad on my phone that is personalized to me because it's I don't know, a brand that I've looked at before or a style of clothing, but I'm not necessarily in the right time or place to be able to receive that ad. So it's not that relevant, even though it's targeted and personalized.
Yeah, I can tell two things about those, like maybe going a little bit deeper. For example, if somebody, imagine you're a coffee shop in a shopping mall. If the customers are getting the coffee and then walking in the mall shopping, so that's their way of warming up to the shopping idea, versus they're in a hurry, they're getting their cup of coffee and driving off. So knowing that maybe a third of your customers are in a rush, they want to get a to-go cup and then really go, and then you might design your customer experience similar in that sense as well.
But the thing I wanted to link that to is, so with all of that micro like data on like an individual level, how do you deal with all of that data? Like how do you optimize or utilize that data?
So that's a great question, and you need a data system, a loyalty system that has a hygiene in terms of data. It's not just about the amount of data, but the precision, the quality of the data. And then, of course, you have to look at segmentation and look at the customer journey. And we recently worked on things about agentic AI, things that a CRM or a campaign loyalty person might not be even thinking about, but the system discovers those kind of opportunities automatically. So I think the future of technology and AI is going that way. But I think the fundamentals are generating privacy first party data that is precise and relevant, and then building value out of that becomes easier and easier with new technologies coming, which is great news.
Okay, so we've already sort of touched on some of the misconceptions of first-party data, like quality over quantity. So what other sort of misconceptions are there around first-party data?
What we hear most is thinking that first-party data is impossible or very hard. I think it's all about sort of communicating to your customer the value exchange, that this is not just getting data from them, but it providing monetary value, that they're going to a restaurant already paying 20% less is a benefit. Having the fast lane while trying to rush into the airport is a positive. But also time. So you might have 3-4 different banks or fintech apps or loyalty apps. So when you're in a shopping mindset in a mall, you're trying to see the visuals, the new storefronts and so forth. Nobody opens up 5 different tabs and search through the offers and scroll them trying to find something relevant. So saving time or saving attention is also a value exchange. So I think that a misconception is let's not ask for it or they will say no. If you tell them what's the value exchange in a nice way, in a way that would resonate with the customer, but also within the first couple of weeks, show that value, that the data generated with that permission is not just sitting in some silo, but it's valued back to the customer, something that they didn't get before, and that would surprise and delight them. Then you connect the theoretical value and the practical value, and then you have it in their brain.
That's a great way also to answer the question of trust as well, and consumer trust when it comes to opting in for data or asking for data. So you said sharing the value exchange that the customer would get if they were to share their data, and also showing them within a timely manner what you promise. Would you add anything else to that to drive trust?
Yeah, maybe in terms of not pushing too much of the technology, just because that precision is available, you don't have to use it. It's about the context of the customer. So if the customer is driving by a shopping mall, you can be more generic to be create awareness. Oh, there are great offers in this shopping mall that you're passing by. If they opt in, if they click, if they redeem those offers, then maybe something more precise in terms of the food court. In the food court, there are great offers in here, there, and so forth. If they like, if they click, because some cultures, some age groups might be more open to it, and some might think this might be too much detail. So, but the ones that click, use the more generic ones, then you can be more precise. If they go to Nike and then Adidas, you think they're in a sportswear shopping mindset. So if there's a cashback with this card or with this loyalty program with Puma, then or a department store, then you can add value there. But if you just start with the most technologically advanced one, it might backfire. So building that trust level by level, I think is the right way to go.
Okay, that makes sense. So, in like in a layered way, it takes time as well. Like it's not just a snap of the finger thing. So, actually, you were mentioning some retailers there. I wanted to also ask you about the differences in data use between retailers and FIs, so like fintechs and banks. How is data used differently?
So we have a lot of experience there. We have more than like 70 million customers through our clients. And then understanding the bank perspective and the retail perspective is very different in terms of how they use data. A payment platform, a bank, a fintech can see in all locations where that card is used. Of course, they are blind to purchases made with other banks' cards. And then that's where we help as well, understanding the whole journey. But what they care about more is what are the banking products, payment products, lending products to maximize the customer value. What I think is good there is they have a big enough platform that retailers want to use in terms of providing cashbacks and so forth. So they have a lot of options. They can touch a lot of points in a customer's lifestyle. It's not just coffee, it's not just burgers. So that's good. But on the other hand, because of how cards work, they don't get the level 2, level 3 SKU data. So they don't know what you purchased in a Macy's. So they only see $100. So they don't have that kind of understanding, but they want to guess and then they want to optimize for large tickets items and so forth. So one thing I do recommend, and we get really good results, is don't just focus on big ticket items. Get into the habit of everyday value add. So if they use it for coffee, if they use it for burger, for groceries, then it's going to be in their sort of loyalty mind that they would use your bank for large items as well. So it's
Okay.
not just one time, but it's building that trust and being there for them. On
Yeah.
the flip side, in the retail side, they have much more details. They know I get this kind of a coffee, large, hot, with pumpkin spice latte. I do this, I do that. So they have two very detailed, or this jean size and this brand and everything. But they don't have visibility outside of their stores into their competitors, into other like before and after. So I think we help a lot in terms of their knowledge and the gaps between them so that the retailer can focus on making sure the customer is happy once they get into the store with the great products, great size selections, and great customer experience physically helping out. But we help bringing more relevant customers in. So I think it's a one size doesn't fit all.
Mm-hmm.
One entity doesn't have all the information, but that makes the collaboration even more powerful. A retailer can work with a bank, and then they can supplement their data with the data we generate in a privacy first way, so you can still get good personalization without having to build everything.
Right. So the opportunity here is in combining different perspectives, driving that forward together.
Exactly.
I know you've been working in AI, we were mentioning before, for around 20 years now. So I wanted to ask you about how that's evolved over the years and what does the future look like?
Yeah, the evolution. So there were two bottlenecks before. One was the bottleneck of data generation. So everything, like I'm talking about decades ago, everything was not digital. So you couldn't get collection of data as easy. So you had to manually collect data, get somebody's phone number as a loyalty member, and then somebody had to put it into a system, and the systems didn't work. So one was the bottleneck of the data. The other one was the bottleneck of the computation. So in this era with ChatGPT and other generative AIs, some of that reasoning becomes commodity. So if you have the data, then creating a reasoning is relatively easy. But still, you need personally relevant data so that you don't give generic recommendations, free coffee to everybody. Somebody might be more affluent, so they might need investment products. Somebody might need international travel products. So that data generation is still very important, even though the tools are much easier.
Okay.
Now, from the work we look at, we try to separate AI into different components. The first one is the predictive AI, which is we're trying to predict where the customer is based on all the sensor information, where even GPS doesn't work because you're in a shopping mall, there are different floors and so forth. So just estimating which store they are in by itself is an AI, which is in our case our own technology. But once you do that, then it unlocks a lot of things in terms of generative AI, in terms of conversationally asking a question, getting an answer in your own language, which makes it very easy. And most recently, we added, and we see the industry as well, agentic AI, where you're not asking the customer or asking your campaign manager to prompt things, but the system discovers opportunities automatically or semi automatically. And then, of course, you can review before taking action, but it makes the power of AI even more powerful because you don't have to think about the question. The system can think about the opportunities and then surface them as well.
So the future of AI right now is more focused on agentic AI.
Definitely. If you have the other sort of building blocks good, then you can build the agentic AI. But if you don't have data, of course, the thing you can try to do with agentic will fall short. But if you build the right way, agentic is the way to go now.
Okay. So just to end off this this segment about data and AI, what advice would you give brands or businesses now to better use their data?
Quality versus quantity, making sure that it's clean data, it's accessible, and then the systems are ready for evaluating sort of actions. Once you take an action, which might be sending a push notification or doing something, then if you can measure the results, whether that action was suggested with AI or by a human, then you're closing the loop that you can try these different things and then learn from them at each step. So even the best AI cannot do everything by itself. So if you have a system that gets good data, it has a good way of trying out experiments, campaigns, looking at the results and learning and looping back, then nobody can stop you. You can get better and better quality customer experiences. The customers will be happy. And even if there are any things that's missing, you'll detect it quickly and fix it quickly.
We've spoken a lot about like the importance of timing as well, and different cultural adoptions, and how different cultures receive this sort of tool, location-based engagement or location intelligence and data and privacy and all of that. I was wondering if you had some examples. I know you've More Like You has worked with some of the biggest names in the industry. So what examples do you have to sort of exemplify these things?
So I'll give one positive and one negative example, how the timing, the missing of timing is might be even bad. So going into airports, the card you have might be a premium, diamond, black, some kind of a card, which allows you fast lane access. So if the customer knows about this while coming to the airport or before, then they would use it, they'll be happy. But let's assume the system didn't work as planned and then they got it after they went through the passport or whatever, which is like after they waited 15 minutes in line and whatnot, they received and now they are furious. I had this benefit, but you didn't tell me in time, so I suffered. So that might be even a bad example. In that case, don't even send it.
Okay.
Similarly, when you're driving in a highway and then there's a offer with maybe a restaurant, a coffee place, or a fuel station, but don't send it while you're right there because you have to know about it to safely off ramp from the highway to go into that fuel station. So think about the context of those kind of things. So maybe deliver the message 5 minutes before on the way to the airport or when before 2 minutes before the off ramp. So those kind of things might be relevant. And one other good example is we do a lot of car dealerships and car loans and so forth for both retail perspective as well as financial institutions. And we have a pretty good idea how many visits to a car dealership it takes and how much duration for a typical decision making and applying for a mortgage. So if you wait for not mortgage but loan. So if you wait too long, then you'll miss the opportunity. If you are too early, it might be not relevant. There might be a week that they visit a few of the car dealerships. So the second car ship visit after 30 minutes is the exact right time so that they are in their funnel and then you get the highest conversion, but you don't bother anybody that's just passing by a car dealership.
Wow, that's so specific. I can understand why the wrong timing, even just by a few, depends, I guess, where you are in the funnel, like you were saying, it can really mess everything up, can have the negative effect, like you were saying. But that just shows the importance of the right timing, which I think a lot of tools out there don't really consider. I think this is specifically, you have the right place, you have the right time, and it's sort of about making sure you're targeting the right customer as well. which is a really important aspect of loyalty, making sure that people are sticking, making sure that it's, like we were saying before, relevant. So yeah, that's really interesting. What about the different, you were mentioning before, different like cultures? How about an example about that?
So we work with 12 time zones. So maybe Southeast Asia as a one extreme example where customers are open and willing to go into loyal programs, try everything once and many times. And I think in that case, delivering cashback information and so forth, it's welcome. It's never frowned upon. But in Northern European countries, it might be less of a welcoming message where we look at the number of cards per person as looking at the geographies where we can add the most value. If you only have a debit card or maximum one credit card, then there's no competition. It's just a form of payment. But in Southeast Asia, in North America, of course, in GCC, there is an average of 4 to 7 cards or fintech apps per person. So there's a lot of competition, which builds the expectation higher. And then it also allows for fintechs to deliver better, or retailers deliver better experiences because there's a lot of competition. It's good for the consumers.
Okay, so I'm going to throw some would you rather quick fire questions at you. So are you ready? That's the question. Number one.
I'm ready.
Okay, perfect. So would you rather get a surprise reward when you pass by a shop or a predictable discount you can plan for?
Number one. So I like to be surprised.
Okay, yes, I would get on board with that. Okay, two. Would you rather share your location with a brand for a free coffee every week or keep total privacy and no personalized offers?
Again, number one. So if it's a brand that I like, I'll welcome that.
Okay. Would you rather get rewarded for spontaneous visits to new places or sticking to your usual favorite?
I mean, it's between. I typically do the regular, but once in a while, I want to be surprised, like the first question.
Exactly. And we sort of mentioned that in the beginning with the story you mentioned about being wowed at the restaurant, and how it's a place that you usually go to. It's a regular place you go to. So this question, I think, is yeah. I mean, it's interesting how you can mix between sort of your consistent behaviors and also still want that surprise and delight.
And the statistics show it as well. We see that somebody's in vacation are more open to suggestions to discover new places, both because they are not familiar with the restaurants or hotels or events in that place that they're vacationing, but also the mindset. So similarly, if you're in a rush in a Monday morning versus at the end of the day when you have some free time or during weekends. So we
Yeah,
contextualize that and we see very clearly the conversion rates as well.
it really is about the mindset, where people are. I think that's what makes this really special. The intent, the context, the timing, uh, where people are. Yeah, all just like a blend that really, I think, should be, well, I'll let you take the lead on this part, but the future of engagement really is in that blend of the AI, the personalization, the relevancy, the context. So yeah, it's cool.
Yeah, I think going back to the basics, the frictionless, reliable, and value exchange, I think anything that removes the technology being on the forefront, but the customer context being on the forefront is important. So that means that you're not just part of a single segment, but it's part of a journey of customers that you might be in this segment for your luxury level, but you might be a parent. So your journey might be different. Your timing of engagement might be different. When you shop is different.
Mm.
So I think having those nuances, both segmentation and the customer journey, allows for better engagement. And anything we do is good guessing and experimentation, which means, of course, we use the best practices to build the best scenario initially. But what I mean is being open to learning and closing the loop to discovering new things, whether it's through agentic AI or through hard due diligence with the campaign team, analyzing why this campaign really worked for this segment but didn't work here or did terribly. What do we learn? So if you close the loop, I think there's nothing you can't do, and the future is open for organizations that wants to learn and improve and have the data and systems to be able to do that at ease. I think AI allows for this to be a less manual thing, but more automated thing, which makes it easy. And I think at the end, the customers will win because of the competition and making it easy for this data to be returned back to them as value.
Amazing. Close the loop.
Yes.
Close the loop, make it frictionless, make it reliable, have an exchange of value. Keep the nuances in mind, the nuances with the journey and the segments, but also the automation and the physical experience as well. The data and the privacy, all of those things, it's really is the perfect balance. And we were saying also with timing, like the right timing, but also not like making sure it's really precise. Yeah. So there's a lot of balance and nuance with this. And I think that's what makes it really exciting, actually. So I'll let's close off by asking you to sort of bring out your crystal ball and tell us your predictions for the future of loyalty.
I think customer value management or thinking of that customer centric in the organization and empowering those departments or those individuals, I think that's the future. And it's not just a drag and drop product, but it's the combination of the expectations and then building and customizing systems that allows for those closed loop to happen. I'm positive with the future of loyalty.
Amazing. That's great. And that's a lovely point to end off our episode. Thank you so much, Batu. This has been a really, really, really insightful conversation. And yeah, thank you.
Thank you. Thanks for having us.